Hello everyone and welcome to a Guts and Blackpowder ranking video. So for this video, I'm basically just going to be ranking all of the weapons based on how useful they are in all the different maps. Now, this is going to be a several part series, so for this video I'm going to try to cover all the objective maps. For another video I'll probably do Endless, and then I'll probably do another bonus video for Siege, PvP, and all the other exclusive maps for private servers. But yeah, so let's just go ahead and hop right into it. So for this first list, we're going to start with Vardohus Fortress. So as you can see, I listed every single weapon and utility in the game. The only thing that I didn't really list here was the medical supplies, because I don't think anyone's going to argue with me when I say this, but surgeons are useful on pretty much every map. Being healed is just an S tier thing no matter what you say. So I instead put in the extended surgeon kit to see whether or not, it's worth bringing. But other than that, the rest is fairly simple, with the officer saber being a little bit different from the saber, so they have slightly different uses. But yeah, those are all the weapons and everything, so let's actually hop into this. So first, we're going to start off with the trusty musket. For Vardohus Fortress, this is probably an S tier weapon. The only part where the musket doesn't really shine that well is during the church part. Actually, no, that's not true. Actually, that's a lie. It does shine really well during the church part. It's just really good. The bayonet is really nice. If you do need to shoot a bomber that's coming down during the finale, it's got you. The musket is very good for Vardohus. The lance, on the other hand, is probably the same, but it can't really deal with barrels, but to be honest, the musket can't do that well with barrels either, so it's still an S tier. Air rifle. This is probably the highest S tier, and probably the only time the air rifle is going to really achieve an S tier on a map is probably Vardohus Fortress. The finale just has so many bombers to the point where the air rifle just completely eradicates them. They just don't exist if you have one. The rifle. Ooh. I'm thinking about putting it between D or F. It fires way too slow, sorry. And zappers aren't really that big of an issue on this map. And there's no Queerziers, and no one can be infected to turn into a Queerzier because, you're Danish. Danish don't have Queerzier regiments. So, honestly, I'm gonna put this in F tier. I feel like a rifle will usually at least be in D tier for most maps, but for Vardohus, it just can't. It just doesn't work. Now the horse artillery pistol, I'm going to put this at a B tier. I think this is pretty respectable. 2 shots, it's good for taking out barrels, pretty decent. Carbine, I'm going to put this at an A tier. It's similar to a horse artillery pistol, but you can shove with it and it's more mobile, which isn't really needed for Vardohus since it's kind of small, but it's still nice to have. Saber. I gotta be honest with you, this is just a C tier weapon for Vardohus, because on the way to the finale, you can usually 1 to 2 shot all the zombies, but it's whatever. At the finale, it becomes really, really weak. Heavy saber. I gotta be honest with you, I'm gonna put this in D tier. I know this is really, really weird. Why would you put the heavy saber in D tier? Well, the simple reason for this being is that it takes the same amount of hits to kill a zombie on this map as the saber does. So the only advantage that you get out of this is range, but that's really only useful for runners, to be honest. You can kind of argue it's good for kiting, but there isn't really anywhere to kite in the finale. And also it just swings slower, so there's not a real reason to bring it. Though if you were to bring it, it wouldn't be catastrophic. Delicious leg F tier. Hand axe, this is going to be pretty surprising to some people, but I'm going to put this in A tier. There's no runners on this map, meaning that the hand axe actually shines here very well. It can actually be a good stand-in for the lance if you don't want to bring that, because it'll 2-shot all the zombies, and if you can hit a headshot, which by the way, contrary to popular belief, it's actually really easy to hit a headshot with a hand axe. So this thing is just an A tier. It's really good. You know, I'm gonna put it above the carbine. It's just that good. Grenades, I don't know. They're okay. I would say B tier. Tarball, this is probably, I'm gonna say it's A tier. It's pretty solid. Jack-o'-lantern, it's pretty easy to see on this map. Water bucket, there's no igniter, so it's not a problem. Pistol, solid. I would say it's pretty solid for taking out barrels. Brass pistol, you don't really need crowd control for this map, though I will say at the finale, sometimes you could have it. It's nice. I'll put it at C tier. Double barrel pistol, probably just above pistol. Like, simply just because it can shoot too. The only downside is that it has less accuracy, but it's whatever. Officer's saber, so this lets you charge. It's definitely above saber, at least, obviously, but, I'm gonna put it in B. Nah, yeah, actually, yeah, B. It goes in B tier, because the charge is good, so we'll do that. Spawn tune, I don't know. Actually, no, there is, like, a few good spots to do a holdfast, which is in the church, and I guess if you're defending on the dock, assuming you have people shooting barrels, this can be pretty decent. I'm gonna put it, like, just in front of the officer's saber, though, because I don't think it's that much better. Blunderbuss, oh, I don't know. I'm gonna say probably high B tier, because it's able to deal with barrels and swarms of shamblers at the same time, which is pretty decent, but it does reload a little bit slow when you're trying to take out barrels, so it's kind of whatever. Navy pistol, oh, I don't know. Navy pistol is really good for taking out small hordes in front of you and really close barrels, which is kind of dangerous to do. Similar to the brass pistol, you don't really use it for taking out barrels, so these are kind of just, they're kind of iffy. Knockgun, if you're really, and I mean like really good with the knockgun and know how its accuracy works with only one barrel, this has like huge potential for like possible A tier, but I gotta be honest, I don't really know. I'm not amazing with the knockgun. Some of you might be. You might think it's good for not Copenhagen, for Vardohus. I'll say it's like very low B tier. It's not as bad as these two because it is a little bit more accurate, and it can be used for barrels if you really need it. Boarding axe, ugh. I will admit this is probably one of the maps where the boarding axe is better, so I'll probably put it like, I'll put it behind grenade. I don't think it's that good. Definitely not better than hand axe for this map. Hammer. Oh, I didn't mention this, but how the hammer is going to work for this is basically just saying how useful are sapper structures in this map, just in general. So for this map, it's probably gotta be an S tier, because oh my goodness, dude. Without a sapper on the dock, not building barricades or stakes, this becomes a huge pain. Obviously, you never need a sapper, okay? Obviously. But you could also argue you never need a lance or you never need a musket. The point is just like, how good is it? And honestly, hammer is a very good S tier weapon. Sorry, not weapon. Very good S tier because it's great for building on the docks. And the church too. I forgot about that. Axe. Ooh, this is probably one of the only, actually not one of the only maps, where axe is gonna have to go into a very, very low B tier. By no means is it bad. Do not get me wrong, the axe is never a bad weapon. I don't think it really ever go below C tier, ever. It's just a very low B tier, simply because it won't one-shot the zombies in the finale if you don't hit a headshot. So that's the only problem. If you're really good at tucking, this could be like an A tier. So I'm just putting it in B tier just to compromise. Pickaxe is similar, but the difference is that it swings faster, so it's going in A tier. Spade. I don't actually know. Here's the thing, I can't remember whether or not you're able to entrench on the docks, but the docks, you know, are made of wood. And I swear I've seen people entrench on the docks before, so I don't know. I don't really use Spade for Vardohus, even though it is pretty good, and you can dig early with it during the start. I'll say it's like here, I guess. I don't really know, to be honest. This is kind of just a whatever one. I'm not really sure. Extended Surgeon Kit. This is one of the maps where Extended Surgeon Kit's actually really good for because there's no igniters. The reason why the Extended Surgeon Kit is a little bit iffy on certain maps is simply just because of igniters. And because there's no igniters, then this gets to go into an instant A tier. I don't know if it would be S tier. It is, like, good, but the map's really short, and I don't think you will need it that bad at the end of the day. So holding extra supplies and using less supplies for this map is kind of whatever. It's definitely a low A tier. Steak. Surprisingly, this is actually not that bad, considering it'll two-shot most Shamblers if you hit headshots consistently. But if you can't or miss, then it's kind of whatever. I'll surprisingly say it's just behind the Saber, or Officer Saber, sorry. That's really weird because the regular Saber's in C, Steak is in B. This is probably the only time you'll ever see the Steak higher than the Saber, probably. Just a guess, I don't really know. Anyway, Crucifix. Yeah, it's okay. I mean, yeah, I'll just go ahead and put this in A tier. There's not really much to say about it. People like Crucifix. Exorcism Crucifix, oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. If you watched my video over how useless the Exorcism Crucifix is, this has got to be one of the worst maps for it. Somehow it's even worse than the Water Bucket. Actually, no, I take that back. It's only worse than the Jack-o'-lantern. But that's it. Okay, anyway. Blessing. I don't know. I'm gonna say A tier. It's pretty good. Actually, no, B tier. Yeah, it's a really short map. Vardohus is just way too short. If it was longer, I would say the Blessing would probably be an A or an S tier, but it's just not that long. People probably won't get infected that much. It's okay. And Divinity, D. It's not useless, but it's just not great. So that was Vardohus Fortress. Now we'll move on to the next map. Alright, next we got Leipzig. I was about to say Vardohus Fortress again. Sorry. We got Leipzig. Okay, so by the way, this is gonna be like random orders because I kind of just like, you know, take the tiers away just like from top to bottom. So it's kind of just gonna be all over the place now. Alright, so Hammer. Yeah, actually this is probably... is it S tier? Is it really S tier? I'll say it's like low S tier. This is a very low S tier. You can definitely do Leipzig without a sapper by all means. You do not need a sapper for this map. It's very short and very easy. Air rifle, I'm gonna give it a B tier. Barrels aren't that big of a problem on this map. Like they're okay of a threat, but like not big enough. Musket, I think it's A tier. I don't think it's S tier for this map, but it's definitely really good. Lance, B tier. This is surprising. It's just, you don't really need crowd control for this map. Like a Saber can like easily deal with all the zombies on this map. It's okay. I'll probably put it above air rifle though, because it's just good for the, what is it, the graveyard. Crucifix, I don't know. For Leipzig, it's kind of just whatever. It's nice, just B tier. Hand axe, there are runners on this map, and if you are like the last person standing by chance and are trying to like clutch up, hand axe is not gonna be in your favor. It'll be alright for the Shamblers, but if there's runners or virals, this is not gonna work out very well. So I'm gonna put it in C tier for this map. It's okay. I'll still use it, but like, I don't know. I think I would prefer a Saber on this map. Carbine, pretty decent. I'll actually put an A tier. It's pretty good. Tar bottle, surprisingly, not that useful in this map. I'll just go ahead and grab grenades and put it in like the same place. Like these aren't really useful in this map that much. They're okay, just not good enough. Pickaxe, this is an A tier weapon for this map. Don't really think we need to question that. Extended Surgeon Kit. I think igniters do actually spawn on this map. It's just very rare. You don't see them very often. And simply just because of that, I'll put this in B tier. It's okay. Axe, honestly, A tier. It's really good for the graveyard. I would actually argue that the axe is probably better for defending the graveyard part than the pickaxe, so this is personal opinion. You gotta remember that. Blunderbuss. I don't know. I feel like you don't really need that much crowd control for this map, because not many zombies spawn that much, so I'll say C tier. It's not horrible. Horse artillery pistol, yeah, there's a solid amount of bombers. I'll say it's a B tier. Boarding axe, I don't know. This is kind of like the same with the hand axe situation, but it's just worse. It deals less damage unless you're using its flip side, so it's kind of just, I don't know. I don't like it. Not great. If I had to use it, I guess I could, but I would prefer the hand axe, which is kind of funny. DB pistol. Again, bombers are kind of a threat, so I'll put this in A tier. Higher than a horse artillery, because this thing reloads faster, obviously. Pistol, probably right behind horse artillery. Spawn tuned, this is, like, really good for the graveyard. But past that, it's kind of whatever. Actually, I'll bump this down to B, because it's really only good for the graveyard. Spade. This actually is probably better than the axe and pickaxe on this map do I? No. Okay, no. I think the spade is only like the tiniest bit worse when it comes to defending the graveyard. But when you're done with the graveyard and you're defending to wait for, Jacob to blow up the gate, this is probably better than the pickaxe and axe for the gate part. I'll put it in between the axe and pickaxe, just because. All right, officer saber, pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, this is pretty decent for this map. A tier. Stake, C tier. It's not amazing. Knockgun. Queer's ears do actually spawn on this map, so I'll give it an A tier. Blessing. People surprisingly do get infected on this map. I don't really know why. Like, surely this isn't just me thinking this. Leipzig is really short, possibly shorter than Vardohus, yet people somehow manage to get infected so often, even though the map really isn't that hard. So I'll put this at like, near the crucifix, because it kind of goes in hand, I guess. Brass pistol, again, you don't really need crowd control for this map. It's kind of just a C tier. Saber, B tier, nothing really special. Navy pistol, B tier. Divinity? I'll say C. I think it's just a little bit better in this map because it's short. Even though people do get infected, I feel like Divinity is usually enough to cure people's infection, because people only get about like 20% infected on this map and they're fine. So it's okay. Heavy saber. Is it better than saber on this map? I think? I'm pretty sure it is. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it is. I'll put it like very high B tier. I'll put it right behind the lance, because I feel like this just can't compare to the lance. Exorcism. Surprisingly not horrible, because it has a lot of spots where like a bunch of zombies could bunch up and he could use it. But it's gonna be like really low C tier. Super low C tier. Rifle. I mean, zappers aren't really that huge of a threat. I mean, no. Zappers are a little annoying on this map. Queer's ears do exist too, so actually I do have to bump this up. I kind of forgot. It's not as good as the knockgun for taking out Queer's ears, because you only have to load 2 pellets with the knockgun to body shot kill a Queer's ear, while with the rifle you have to aim for a headshot. So I'm gonna say low B tier. I was thinking about putting in C, but because Queer's ears exist on this map, it's a B tier. Bad. You can see on this map relatively easily, I'm pretty sure. Water bucket. I know igniters can spawn this map. It's just they almost never spawn, and just because of that, it's going in D. Basically, if igniters don't spawn on a map, it's F tier. If they rarely spawn on the map, it's D, and if like they just spawn pretty frequently, it'll go up somewhere else. So that was Leipzig. Not that bad. I think this is a decent ranking. Only one made into S tier, which is the hammer, because let's go figure. Sappers are just really good for Leipzig. Alright, next up we got Catacombs, so let's just go ahead and get started. Hammer. Ooh. Actually, hammer is definitely an S tier. I'm gonna be honest, hammer is probably never gonna go below C tier. Probably. Because hammer is, you know, just building stuff is just really good. You can't lie, building stuff is just really, really good. Even if you never need it, it's always really nice to have. So, it's good on this map because for the finale, there's a lot of zombies, obviously. You want to barricade them off if you can. And in the Catacombs, for that one part after the brick wall, you gotta defend for a second, and not having a sapper there is probably catastrophic. Because that barricade will hold off all of those high HP shamblers. Not actually, this is probably going to be an S tier. I know this is really, really odd, but Queer's ears are actually a pretty big threat on the finale of Catacombs. So, the knock-gun can just delete them. So, I personally think it's an S tier. Musket? Oof. Inside of the Catacombs, I feel like the musket just doesn't do that well because it can only hit one zombie at a time, and you're constantly in a very enclosed space. But it's not outright horrible, so it's not that bad to use. Carbine, it's definitely good for taking out bombers, and it's alright for shoving if you really need it, I guess, for inside of the Catacombs, but I don't really think you need it. But still, it's good for taking out bombers. I'm not gonna argue with that. Axe. This is... I'm gonna say C tier. I don't hate it. I think I would just prefer pickaxe. For spade, I'm gonna be honest with you, I feel like the spade is probably the best sapper weapon for this map. Just being able to fortify all your barricades, making Queer's ears slow down when they charge into them, and also being able to just tank more. And also tank barrels if they need to. I think that's pretty important for this map. Pickaxe is definitely a B. I don't think it's as good as a spade, but it's decent. Sorry, DB pistol. Yeah, pretty good. Probably better than carbine. Actually, is it better than carbine? Because this thing has pretty bad accuracy. Yeah, it's fine. I'll say it's there. Officer Saber, this is really, really good for taking back lost ground, so this is going to be a very high A tier. Officer's charges always come in clutch on this map, if you're getting pushed back too far. Saber, not too bad, not too good. This is probably like how it's always going to be. Saber's not too good, not too bad. So, B tier. Lance? Oh boy. This is definitely an S tier for Lance. It's just, there are just so many spots where, you know, crowd control's a huge thing, so Lance definitely excels for Catacombs. Heavy Saber, I gotta be honest, probably only slightly above Saber. I mean, like, just slightly. And it's because of officer charges. Sorry. Anyway, if officer charges didn't really exist, then the Heavy Saber would probably be behind the Saber because it takes the same amount of hits to kill a zombie in the finale as the Saber, so it's kind of just intertwined. And also it is better for runners, I guess, but again, it's only just slightly better than the Saber for this map. The air rifle, ooh, this is at a high A tier. The only reason why this is not going into S tier is because the finale of Catacombs is a little bit long. And you'll probably run out of air eventually, but you will definitely be able to hold off almost all of the bombers. So, very, very high A tier. Crucifix. For inside of the Catacombs, it's kind of whatever, but when you're doing the finale, it's really, really good. So I'm gonna put this at like a low A tier. It's pretty decent. Blessing. I don't really see people get that infect on this map, but I think it's another A tier because the map's just a little bit longer. Extended Surgeon Kit. Okay, igniters do exist on this map, but you gotta hear me out. They're just not that big of a threat simply because there's just so much land to walk around. So you don't really even get that much affected by it. Unless you're playing on hardcore, which, by the way, I probably should have mentioned this, but this is for normal mode. I might do a hardcore ranking eventually, but this is for normal mode. So I'm gonna say it's B tier. I don't think you should bring it. I think it would be better if you just didn't. But if you did, it's fine. Horse artillery pistol. I think this is better than the carbine, just barely, because it can fire 2 shots. And can't lie, that's pretty good. I think it's just better. Anyway, pistol, surprisingly not that bad. This is gonna be a hot take, but I'm actually gonna put this over the double barrel pistol for this map because it's just more accurate, and you know, that's pretty good considering how far you have to shoot for the finale. So I would say it's probably just the tiniest bit better than the DB pistol. Spawn tune, pretty good, probably behind officer's charge. Rifle, there are clear ears, and it is the longest range you can probably shoot in the game. So I'm actually going to put this in a very, very low A tier. Like, this is super generous. Like, this is extremely generous. Realistically, I feel like this should be behind the musket. Wait. Actually, yeah, this should be behind the musket. No, what am I talking about? I'm crazy. I'm actually insane. The musket can 2-shot clear his ears out charged down. The rifle has to shoot them. So, I feel like the musket is just better. Alright. Divinity. Nah, it's just not good here. Hand axe, it's okay. I actually think it's probably better than heavy saber here if you're using a musket or lance. Yeah, runners aren't really that bad on this map, so I think hand axe deserves to be above heavy saber here. Tar bottle, actually really, really good on this map, because sometimes a few bombers will leak and you need to just pop one of them instantly. Pretty good. Grenades, I'm gonna be honest, not that great. Grenades are just not good here. They take too long to explode. Bombers are like the main threat for this map. The only place where I find this being useful is for the small holdout section in the Catacombs, because you can just drop a grenade and it'll kill a huge horde. Otherwise, that's kind of it. Grenade isn't really amazing here. The blunderbuss, pretty decent. I'm actually gonna say it's an A tier, because it can deal with barrels and other zombies at the same time. Stake, oof, oh, I'm gonna say D. It's usable. It is definitely usable. I don't like it on this map, because here's the thing: the chaplain can just get the sledgehammer, which, by the way, I know isn't on here because I don't really count objective. I don't count objective. What is it? I don't count objective weapons, so that's why the shovel and the sledgehammer aren't here. But because the chaplain can just take the sledgehammer, the stake just becomes kind of useless here. Anyway, brass pistol. It's okay. There's a little bit of crowd control, so it's alright. Same for navy pistol. These are basically just the same gun, almost. They're very similar. Exorcism, surprisingly not horrible, but I probably wouldn't use it. Water bucket, there are igniters, so I'm gonna put this in A tier. It's pretty good. Boarding axe, I don't know. I don't really like it. C tier. Jack-o'-lantern, it is slightly dark in the Catacombs. Just slightly. So this is this is probably the highest this is ever gonna rank, to be honest. Delicious leg, no. And that's Catacombs. Next up, we got everyone's favorite map, San Sebastian. It's a pretty fun map, I can't lie. I feel like a lot of people hate on it just because it gets voted, but honestly, I don't think it's that bad of a map. Anyway, let's just start. Knock gun. There are clear ears on this map, but they usually don't get enough time to charge because there's just a lot of walls and stuff. So I'm gonna put this in A tier because they are a threat, but they usually don't get the chance to charge. Hammer, could be honest, I don't know. This is probably a B tier. The finale, it genuinely just feels like sappers don't do a whole lot during the finale, because there's just so many bombers and so little time to shoot the bombers that they just blow up everything that they make. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not useless. There are definitely parts on the map where the hammer is very good. It's just, because of the finale, it kind of holds the hammer back. So I'm putting it in B tier. Lance, probably S tier, let's be honest here. Blunderbuss, pretty decent. There is a bit of crowd control on this map, so it's alright. Air rifle, C tier. I don't think it's bad, but I don't think it's great. It's kind of just, like, I don't really think barrels are that big of a threat on the way to the finale, but during the finale, the air rifle will definitely shine there, so it's pretty good. Officer's Charge, probably an A tier on this map. Spawn Tune, probably better? Yeah, I would say the Spawn Tune's better. Also, this is an assumption that people actually do, you know, like, synergize with the Spawn Tune user. Tar Bottle, actually pretty good. I'm not sure it's an A tier on this map. It's good, it's definitely good. Horse Artillery Pistol, it's okay. Carbine, yeah, it's okay. I feel like there's gonna be a lot of B tiers on this map, I gotta be honest. Spade, actually probably an A tier. This kinda helps the hammer a little bit during the finale because you can fortify your barricades and make them more resistant to bombers, which does actually help a lot. So the spade is low-key pretty good for this map. Pistol, I mean, pistol isn't horrible. I'm gonna say B tier. DB pistol's probably an A tier because of the finale. Crucifix, actually probably really high A tier. It's just really good. There's quite a few parts where the crucifix comes in handy. So I'm gonna say this is a really good item. Blessing, this is a very long map, okay? This is a very long map, so the blessing is probably gonna be needed here. Water bucket, there are igniters on this map. So water bucket's going in B, it's pretty good. Brass pistol, again, there's an all right amount of crowd control, just not enough. Just, it's okay. Musket, S tier. I'm sorry, but musket and lance are just the S tier weapons of this map. I feel like nothing can really beat these. The musket's bayonet, there's just so many points where zombies individually come out. Even during the finale, the zombies for the most part individually come out. And also, if there are clear ears, the musket can just two-shot them. It's overpowered. Not even the lance can do that, which, by the way, actually, hold on. I'm actually gonna swap that. The musket is better than the lance on this map, just because it can two-shot queer's ears. Okay, rifle, C tier. Surprisingly, both of the rifles are in C tier. There are queer's ears, it's just that the rifle isn't really needed for the queer's ears, simply just because they don't get the time to charge. So, the musket and the lance users can pretty easily just take them out by themselves. They don't really need someone with a rifle to help. Pickaxe, probably like B tier, I don't know. Hand axe, there are runners on this map, but it's not horrible. Again, probably B tier. I'm telling you, there's gonna be a lot of B tiers for San Sebastian. It's a very mixed map. Heavy saber is it takes about roughly the same amount of hits to kill a shambler as the saber does still, so I'll say B tier, pretty good. Saber is probably just behind it. Extended Surgeon Kit, there are igniters on this map, so this is probably a map where the Extended Surgeon Kit isn't great. Like, you can use it, don't get me wrong. It's never really horrible, but just I don't think you should. The water bucket is way more useful for this map. Navy pistol, I gotta be honest, it just, I don't know. I feel like there is a difference between the brass and the navy. It's just, I don't know, whatever. Boarding axe, no, I don't like it. I gotta be honest, like, I'm a boarding axe hater, bro. I don't like this weapon. It's basically just an in-between of the saber and the hand axe, and I don't really like that. It's trying to be both, and it's not great at it. Like, bro, I just want my damage. Just give me my damage and penetration at the same time. The hand axe exists for a reason, dude. Anyway, The axe. Again, it's just B tier. I don't really know how to like rank these sapper weapons. They're just kind of wherever. Grenades? Really, really low B tier. There aren't many places where the grenades really shine. So it's whatever. Exorcism is okay. Not amazing. Very low C tier. Stake, low C tier. Divinity, D tier. Jack-o'-lantern. This map is as bright as day, bro. Like, seriously, I don't know how you wouldn't be able to see on this map. This has got to be the worst item ever on this map. Delicious leg, obviously, F tier. Alright, that's San Sebastian. Alright, next we got Kaub. This is actually going to be a really interesting map, because I think there are definitely a lot of items on this map that shine way more in this map compared to others. So, first off, we've got the lance. This is just an instant S tier. I don't think literally anything can beat the lance. I said that last time, and then the musket beat it, but the musket can't really compare on this map, unfortunately. The musket, do not get me wrong, it does work on the way to the finale, but the biggest part of Kaub is the finale. And I mean most maps too, but like, you can't lie. San Sebastian's finale isn't as long, or not long, not as big of a problem as Kaub's is. So the point is, the musket isn't so great at the finale, but it's good on the way to the finale. So if you have it, it's good. DB pistol is really good for shooting bombers. There's a good amount of them, so really good. Crucifix. This is an S tier. The crucifix can absolutely clutch so hard on Kaub finale, it's insane. You will have a ton of shamblers, runners, and whatnot swarming. Chaplain uses their crucifix, and boom, you're good. Just as long as, you know, you fight the zombies, assuming. Anyway, there's no queer Zeers on this map, so the knockun's kind of... I gotta be honest, knockun's kind of a D tier on this map. So it's... I don't really like it. Spawn tune. Probably a really good A tier weapon. I'm gonna say that the officer's charge is just behind it. Actually... No, actually, yeah. Officer's Saber's right behind it. They're both pretty good for the finale. I would say the spawn tune's only slightly better because of its hold fast. Spade. I don't think you can entrench in the finale. So this is kind of bad. You can like stun the zombies still, but it's not... yeah, it's C tier. Blessing. Oh my goodness, so many people get infected on this map. I don't know why people get infected on this map so much. This is definitely an A tier. The axe. B tier, pretty good. Hammer, S tier. There's just no arguing. This is an S tier. Blunderbuss, I mean, it's okay for the finale. I think I would prefer something else, like, I don't know, a pistol or something, but it's decent. Heavy Saber, gotta be honest with you, this is a C tier. And Saber's probably a B tier. Mostly because during the finale, again, I keep saying this over and over, and I'm gonna keep saying it. If the Heavy Saber takes the same amount of hits to kill a zombie as the Saber, then it's just not better. It literally just isn't. You can't convince me. The only reason you would use the Heavy Saber is if you're using a gun like the Horse Artillery Pistol, Carbine, or, what is it, Rifle? Which, by the way, Rifle sucks on this map. Anyway. Tar Bottle. Tar Bottle has got to be an instant S tier. Oh my goodness, the Tar Bottle is amazing during this match's finale. Sorry, I meant maps. Yeah, the Tar Bottle is just amazing during the finale. If there's like a runner horde coming in, just throw a Tar Bottle, they're all gone, no problems. Amazing utility for this map. Horse Artillery Pistol. I'm gonna say low A tier. It just takes a second to reload. Carbine is a B tier, surprisingly. I just don't think it will perform that well compared to the Horse Artillery Pistol during the finale. But on the way there, it's alright. Pistol, kind of in the same boat as the Carbine. I'm gonna put an A tier. Water Bucket is surprisingly probably a very high S tier. This isn't an S tier simply just because of the Tar Bottle. Basically, if you're running support like a musician or surgeon or something, you need this. This is not a want. Also, we're going to go ahead and put extended surgeon kit in D tier just because of this. Because, oh my goodness, you're going to want this thing for the finale. Trust me. Igniters are a huge problem. Brass pistol. There is a fair amount of crowd control on this map, but again, not enough, so I'm putting it in B tier. Pickaxe is probably an A tier. Hand axe is surprisingly decent. There aren't a ton of renters up until the finale, so it's good. I'm gonna say it's an A tier. Navy pistol, again, these two are just intertwined. Grenades, surprisingly high A tier. The only reason they're not S tier is because you can't just throw them out instantly like the tar bottle can. So if there's a horde coming up behind behind a sapper barricade, then yeah. Actually, wait, I gotta put this down. I forgot. You do automatically get grenades if you grab one from the cart. So it's actually not even really worth taking them, assuming you do grab the grenades from the cart. But otherwise, it's pretty good. Exorcism. Surprisingly, I usually never say this. This is gonna be a very low B tier because I think it actually could deal enough chip damage to make a difference during the finale. So it's okay. Surprisingly, it's okay. Air rifle, oof. I think this is no, it's high C tier. It's high C tier. The only reason this is because bombers in the finale are typically being covered up by other shamblers, and, you know, the air rifle doesn't really have any piercing, so it probably won't be able to get through those two shamblers to hit the bomber. So you need to be super precise with this for it to work. But it could potentially be like a B tier. Rifle is just an F tier. This has got to be one of the worst maps ever for this gun. Oh my goodness, dude. Like, zappers are kind of a threat, like, a little bit, but during the finale, this gun fires way too slow. Seriously, way too slow. You cannot give me a good reason to use the rifle on this map. Boarding axe, I just don't like it. I don't like it. Stake is gotta be really, well, I mean, it's okay, actually. I'll put it in, like, C. Never mind. Divinity, people get infected a lot on this map, so again, D tier. Delicious leg, F. It's, like, only a tiny bit dark, but again, not dark enough to warrant using this, so F tier. And that's Kaub. Oh boy. Next up, we got the infamous map, Copenhagen. This is definitely a very difficult map, and in my personal opinion, I think Copenhagen is probably harder than Roscoff because it's just way more demanding. So let's just get into it. So tar bottle, I mean, I can't really think of a ton of places to use this other than on the boat, which actually it is pretty good for the boat. So I'll put it in A tier. It'll definitely help out a good bit. Lance is literally just an S tier. The only, and I repeat, the only issue with bringing the Lance is that you don't have a gun to shoot the barrel to make the ship start going. And I'm not even gonna lie to you, I've actually lost quite a bit because my teammates are so unbelievably stupid that they can't shoot the barrel to make the ship start going. Meaning, if I didn't bring the Lance, we probably could have won. But assuming you have someone shoot the barrel, the Lance is definitely an S tier and can't be beaten. The Crucifix. I would say on the boat part, this is really, really good. And the water bucket part too. Gives people time to pump the water. Pretty good. Hammer, I gotta be honest with you. This is a C tier. I think for the boat, it's okay. But on the way to the boat, it feels like sappers just don't do a ton. Now, yes, I understand during the water bucket part, I'm not, like, ignorant. I understand during the water bucket part, this is, like, really good. But that's kind of, like, the only other time it's good. Oh wait, actually, I kind of forgot. There is one section after like the second respawn, you go and like defend. They can like build a small barricade. So actually, I take that back. I guess everything combined it is a B tier. But if it didn't have that one room down there, I would probably put it in a C tier. Anyway, hand axe, surprisingly not horrible. Like it's probably way better than the saber on this map. Yeah. Water bucket. This has to be literally the dumbest item you could ever bring into this map. Like, even on other maps, you could argue that someone might light themselves on fire with a tar bottle, so you can put them out with it. But you literally can't do that for this map, because you start with no water in your water bucket. It's completely useless until you get to the water bucket part. And even then, it won't recharge after it uses its splashes. It's useless. And plus, everyone's able to get a water bucket during the water bucket section. So it's completely useless. There's literally zero reason you should bring this. Unless, like, you can't have any other utility. Double barrel pistol. Bombs are actually kind of a threat on this map. So I'm gonna give it, like, A tier. Spawn tune, oh my goodness, this is just behind the lanes, because during the boat part, the spawn tune is a godsend. And the officer saber is also pretty decent. I would say good during the water bucket part and on the way to the boat. Blessing, there's not enough time to really bless people on this map. Like, a lot of people are moving around and there's just not enough time. So I gotta be honest, this is a C tier, and Divinity is even worse, so it's going in F. Horse artillery pistol? I mean, kinda. I don't really know what to do with this one. I'm gonna say I'm gonna say C. No, I'm gonna say B. Yeah, I'm saying B. Never mind. Pickaxe. Surprisingly, I don't really like the pickaxe on this map because of the boat part. It just, because zombies have damage resistance while they're climbing onto the boat, it feels like you just don't really do a whole lot. So, no. Exorcism is surprisingly kind of okay. I think it's like a really low C tier, but I don't think I would use it over the crucifix still. Musket. This is a very, very low B tier. And here's the thing. On the way to the boat, this thing is probably an S tier, but once you reach the boat, this thing is like a D tier. The only time that the musket will become useful during the boat part is if someone uses an officer's charge or a spawn tune's hold fast. So, which actually, I gotta be honest, just because of that, I might actually bump it up to an A tier. You just can't depend on this, and you're gonna have to use your secondary a lot more during the boat part. The axe, similar to the pickaxe, but probably worse because you swing slower, so I don't know. Blunderbuss, there is a fair amount of crowd control in this map, and it's B tier. Saber, oof. Oof, this one hurts. I don't like the saber on this map. It just feels like you don't deal really any damage during the water bucket part or anything, but I'll say it's fair for everything past that and before that, so it's a C tier. Carbine. I guess, like, it's just whatever. I don't really think it's better than the horse artillery for this map. It's just okay. Pistol. No. Honestly, I can't even really think of any parts where I would really use the pistol other than bombers. So, C tier? The reason double barrel pistols is an A tier is just because of bombers, but pistol, you know, it has to reload individually, so it can only take out one at a time. Brass pistol, again, there's a good amount of crowd control, so I'll put them both in B tier. Grenades, I don't know. I think on the way to the boat, grenades are decent, but on the boat, if you drop a grenade on the boat, it'll like push to the back of the boat and won't really kill that many. but it will kill some. So again, B tier. Stake, this has got to be like the worst thing ever, bro. The stake feels like you literally do nothing. You feel like you genuinely can't do anything with the stake on this map, even if you hit headshots. Air rifle is, oof, this hurts. I don't like doing this, but this is an F tier. Even though it's good for taking out barrels, it's not worth taking the air rifle in this map. It just isn't. It literally just isn't. The spade, on the other hand, you're gonna have to hear me out. Just because it swings faster, it's better than the pickaxe and the axe on this map. Literally just because of that. Anyway, heavy saber? Probably worse than saber, but could be okay during a charge, because I could see a lot of points where you would want to charge. So I'll put it in low C tier. Knockgun, there's no careers ears, you don't really need it. Unless you're speedrunning and you're trying to do the knockgun jump, you don't really need this gun. I think it's usable, but not amazing. Extended surgeon kit. I am gonna be dead honest with you. There is literally there are almost no points on the map where you get to heal people. So, because of that, you want to save your supplies for when you do get to heal people. Meaning, this is surprisingly an A tier. I can't believe I was doing this. Like, I was thinking before that this was gonna be like a C tier or something, but you do have to remember there's only like 2 or 3 parts on the entire map of Copenhagen where it's actually safe to heal someone. So you want to have a lot of supplies saved up and use as little supplies as possible, meaning the extended surgeon kit is actually amazing here, surprisingly. Anyway, boarding axe. Oh my gosh. Again, I'm just gonna keep saying this. I don't like it. Oh my gosh. No. Heck no. Rifle? Okay. Look, this is the one map where the rifle is like really good. Because if you didn't know, for every sailor that you take out on the ship, the boat's HP is lowered. For the 2 snipers on top of the ship, each of them make the boat's HP lower by 100 if you kill them. And for all of the other Navy men on the ship, they make the boat lose 30 HP for each one you kill. Meaning, in theory, with the rifle, if you were to kill like just the 2 snipers on top of the brig, then the boat would lose 200 HP, meaning you only have to shoot the boat 4 times, which is better than 5. And if you can keep shooting the sailors, then the HP will keep going down and you won't have to shoot the boat as much. So, honestly, rifle is surprisingly an A tier. I can't believe that. And this map isn't dark. It's a lot of fire everywhere, so you can see relatively easily, so jack-o'-lantern sucks. Alright, let's go on to the next map. And now, finally, for everyone's favorite map, Roscoff, which arguably to some people is probably the hardest map, or sorry, the hardest objective map in the game. Still, I think Copenhagen's harder, but anyway, let's just start. Spontoon. Yeah, I think it's actually really good. Like, this is probably an S tier. The Spontoon's just really good for hold fasting in this map because there's so many points where you, well, hold out. And same for the lance. It's kind of just like, you know, it just goes hand in hand. Extended surgeon kit is kind of iffy. There are igniters on this map, but most of them usually aren't in places where it's that big of a problem. And you do actually have a lot of places where you can heal someone for a long time. I'm gonna say it's B tier. It's pretty good. Tar bottle, instant S tier. Like, you can refresh these. You literally have boxes on the map to refresh your tar bottles. It's insanely overpowered. The crucifix is probably an A tier. Hand axe is probably a B tier. DB pistol is probably an A tier. Musket is actually not that bad, but I don't think it's as good as the lance, simply just because there's a lot of zombies. Like, there is so much crowd control in this map, it's insane. The rifle really sucks here. Like, it's it's just barely usable. I don't think you should use it. It's probably one of the worst infantry primaries to use here, so just don't. Spade is strange. Like, on the way to the finale, the Spade is probably an S tier. But during the finale, you can't entrench or build at all on the boat. So it's kind of bad. I'm gonna put this as a B tier. I would probably use it, but I don't know. Hammer is probably an A tier. I don't think you need to build on the boat to survive, but it definitely helps your team out a lot. So really good, and on the way, it's really good too. Officers charge. There's actually a lot of points on this map where charging is really useful. So I'm gonna give this an S tier. So honestly, I don't know. I feel like Spawn Tune and Officer Saber are both just kind of really good for this map. I can't really choose one over the other. Horse Artillery Pistol. This is an interesting one. I actually like this one a lot for this map because there's a good amount of bombers. You can also shoot special zombies with it. It has a double shot, which is actually really good. So I'm gonna say this is A tier. Blunderbuss, surprisingly, again, pretty good. There's a good amount of crowd control in this map. Brass Pistol and Navy Pistol are gonna be in B tier simply just because they don't have the same firepower as the Blunderbuss, but they do reload faster. It's just, they're not as great for taking out crowds, but they can help a bit. Grenades, again, this has to be like this has to be S tier, because you can just refill your grenades in tar bottles. They're just too good. All right, pistol, I'm gonna say B tier. It's okay. Blessing. Oh my goodness, so many people get infected on this map. Like, this is probably the map where people get infected the most. So I'm gonna have to give this an S tier. Like, I feel like I don't really have a choice. It's literally just the best support thing on this map if we're not counting healing. Pickaxe is very good. Like, really good for this map. So, high A tier. Exorcism is horrible for this map. I'm putting that in F tier, dude. I don't know why you would ever use that for this map. Saber, honestly, decent. It's pretty decent. I'm surprisingly putting this in A tier. It's actually decent. Better than hand axe though. Yeah, well, you know what? No, I'm putting this behind the hand axe. I think the hand axe still has a lot of leverage over the saber in this map because runners aren't that big of a problem. Like, they are a threat. Sorry, they are a threat, but I don't think they're that big enough of a threat to where you shouldn't use it. So, hand axe probably is a bit better than saber. Carbine, again, probably an A tier. It's, actually, no, I'm gonna say this is a B tier. I don't think it performs as well as the horse artillery pistol, so it's just kind of whatever. The shove is okay, though. Heavy saber is decent. I think it's better than saber on this map, but I don't know if it's better than hand axe. I'll say these two are tied. They both have their respective uses. Boarding axe, you already know the drill. I'm just not doing anything else with that. Axe is pretty decent as well, probably just behind the pickaxe. Stake is surprisingly not horrible, but I mean, again, wouldn't want to use it. Knock gun, there aren't queer zeros on this map, so there's no real reason to bring it. But it's not as useless as the rifle on this map, though, I can't lie. So I'm gonna say, like, no, honestly, C tier. I think it's just a little bit better than the rifle. F tier. There are igniters on this map, surprisingly, and I'm gonna say it's probably on par with the extended surgeon kit. I think whether or not you were to use it doesn't really matter on this map. Divinity is like the exact opposite of the blessing on this map. People get infected so much, so why would you bring something that cures almost nothing? There's no point. Air rifle is surprisingly not that bad on this map. Yeah, it is a bit long, but if you do bring a second air canister, it is decent, and you can take out all the barrels with relative ease. And again, jack-o'-lantern, don't need to argue. This is an F tier. You can see relatively easy on this map, The only part where I could possibly even see someone not being able to see that well is the sewers. But it's not dark, so no. Don't ever bring this. And that is the final ranking of Roscoff. And with that, that was all the objective maps been ranked. So again, I'm probably going to make another video over this for like a endless mode, holdout, and the other secret maps. Just because why not? They're pretty fun. And I think it would be interesting to see how I would rank the other weapons in the other maps. And with that, hope you guys enjoyed the video. See ya.